We are so thrilled to be partnering with Hinge. Hinge is the dating app designed to be deleted. As you all know, I'm a huge Hinge advocate as I met my partner of almost 3 years on the app. Even before meeting him, Hinge was always my go-to app because I met more relationship-minded people here and had some great dates. Clearly, I haven't been on the app for a little while, but I re-downloaded it to check out some of the new features. One that stood out to me was the voice prompt, my best friend's take on why you should date me, where your friend can hype you up. Not only does this make the profile creation less daunting, but it's not always easy to see your own green flags. So to test it out, I asked Yue some fun prompts to get her take on what I could put if I was dating again. So the first one, how long have we known each other? What was your first impression of me and how has that changed?
Julie and I have known each other for almost 10 years. My first impression of Julie was that she's very social, but I've learned that she has a lot more depth to her beyond the social butterfly that she is.
My next prompt, what do you think are my green flags?
I would say she's deeply loyal. She believes in love, curious mindset, and she is fearlessly ambitious.
And then last but not least, what kind of friend am I?
Julie is the kind of friend who will always have your back, no matter what.
Damn, that feels nice to hear. So download Hinge and try voice prompts today. Then find someone worth deleting the app for.
Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating sociologists.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to the DATEABLE podcast. We are back for another week of Brunch Talk, where we dive into your burning dating questions. There is always something on your mind, and we are here to help you navigate through it all.
Yes. And thank you to everyone that's been leaving us reviews. We've gotten a bunch lately, 5 stars that they love Brunch Talk. So thank you. I love that one of them was labeled Brunchables. So please keep them coming. Like we said, give us the love. Tell us that you like Brunch Talk so we keep this going. We had a few people write in and say, like, please do not get rid of Brunch Talk.
We're not getting rid of Brunch Talk. No. If anything, you're going to get more. It's going to be a Brunch Talk every day.
But still leave us the review.
Thank you to Tony, one of our community members and also one of our moderators. He said self-care is listening to Brunch Talk while getting a pedicure.
Hell yeah,
1,000% agree. We should all be doing that.
I can't think of a better self-care than that. But
we're going to get into another one of your questions that you sent in. Again, thank you for sending these in. Here's the question. Is it bad that all the dates I go on are just fine?
And for more context, the listener wrote in and said, I've been going on a lot of dates lately, and it's starting to feel a bit draining because everyone I meet is okay, but I could go either way if I see them again. Is this normal that dates feel fine and just okay, or should I be experiencing more fireworks?
Let me guess. You go on dates and you think, I could talk to a wall. I could make friends with a tree. All these dates are blending in together. They all seem the same. The funny part about this question is that we think dating is like a Broadway production. Like we're going to the show and it's going to be spectacular. And we leave thinking, it was just fine.
It was okay.
It was okay.
Fine.
All good.
Fine.
But super relatable because I can assure you we've all been there thinking, is this what dating is? Am I ever going to meet someone that gives me butterflies or makes me excited about dating? And this is what we'll tell you. The dating part of this whole experiment, we call this experiment because dating is a one big fucking social experiment, is how do you make it enjoyable and fun for you? The onus is on you. The people you're dating are not hired actors paid to entertain you on dates. It is not their job. They're also waiting for you to entertain them. So now the question flipped back to you is, how do you make your dates less fine and more exciting?
I still feel like fine is the kiss of death. And yet that is the date that most people are going on. We don't agree with the fireworks, spark, all that bullshit. Like that isn't necessarily a sign of a great long-term partner. That being said, being in this kind of like take it or leave it mentality is not a good foundation to build on.
Nope.
We can accept the first date might be fine. We really feel that if it's okay, let's say you hate being there, then by no means do not go on a second date. But if you're attracted enough, it was good enough, give this person a chance. When we think about our friends, was it fireworks from day one? Did we instantly know that we were going to be BFF? No. We gradually got to know each other, and from there, a relationship developed. So I think that, first of all, is okay if it's not that spark from day one. That being said, it should not be, okay, let me go on another date and it's fine again and fine again. And I'm just going to keep pushing myself, but I think I could take it or leave it. How do you challenge yourself to get to know this person on a deeper level every date? Therefore, it can turn into a fuck yes or fuck no. We want to get you away from fine. I'd rather people be on absolutely horrific dates and amazing dates than just fine, because that just leaves you confused.
Then your friends are asking you, how was that date last night? And all you can say is fine. How disappointing. The way we look at dates, again, it's back to this like, it needs to be fireworks. It needs to be so entertaining and exciting. And it doesn't need to be this way. It's all about this mindset shift of you creating a connection.
Mm-hmm.
I recently got to meet a new friend, and before going out to meet up with her, I was so excited because I wanted to know what makes her tick. I wanted to know why she chose the neighborhood she moved to. I was so excited to meet her because I didn't know anything about her. I can't remember the last time I went on a date thinking that, because the last time I went on a date eons ago, I was thinking, how is this person going to be interesting or entertaining? Or are they going to be someone that I want to date or be in a relationship with? That is so much pressure on someone you have not even met. Can we just get into a more of an excited state before going on a date, thinking, I can't wait to get to know this person?
One of the best things about back in the day is that you organically got to know someone over time.
Mm-hmm.
Yet on dating apps, especially dating apps, but I'd say dating culture overall, because they're so fueled by this quantity mentality, we expect that we know after an hour if this person's going to be our soulmate or not. Like, that's the expectation.
Yeah.
So you're going in and you're like, I need to make sure this person's going to be the one I marry. But how do we just reframe of, I'm just here to meet someone new? And like I said earlier, I think it's okay if the date one is good, not great. But how can you take a tidbit of what you learned on date one and make that the intention of, I want to learn more about this person for the next one, so we move out of that fine territory?
Right. The fine territory is really because you're bringing the fine side of you.
Date review energy.
Julie, can I use my pizza analogy? I feel like you like that.
Yes,
Okay.
use the pizza analogy.
So speaking of brunch and eating, think about this. What if you gathered all the ingredients for making a pie and you started making it and you put it in the oven? When you open your oven, what are you going to get? A pie, because that's what you put into the ingredients. You would not expect to get pizza, even though that's what you want. This is what dating is like. We expect to have different results, but with putting the same amount of energy and effort into the date. How can you expect that your result is better than fine if you're just putting in your fine energy into it? So this goes back to this idea of setting an intention before going on a date, saying, I'm not going to bring my fine self. I'm going to bring my best self to this date because I'm genuinely excited to meet a new person.
Yeah, your curious self, like your interested self. I still think it's interesting that we feel like we need to bring our date self, and that usually equates to the dater view. I want to go into how we start to bring our best selves and get out of this data review mentality. But before we do, let's take a minute for a quick break.
This episode is sponsored by Via. We all know there are things that can help set the mood in the bedroom, but did you know a little THC could also do that? Yes, Via has developed a unique blend of pleasure-enhancing cannabinoids, libido-strengthening herbs, and a low dose of THC all into one mind-blowing gummy called High Love. This gummy, wow, it will awaken your senses, increase blood flow, and intensify any sexual experience. I've been pleasantly surprised by the High Love gummies because it is just the right amount of THC for me to have a good time without feeling sleepy. And hey, if THC is not your thing, Via also offers a wide array of other gummies without it. And everything legally ships in 50 states with discreet packaging directly to your door. So if you're over 21, you can get 15% off and a free pack of award-winning Dreams THC plus CBN sleep sleep gummies with our exclusive code DATEABLE at viahemp.com. That's VIIAHEMP.com. Let the gummies work their magic. Head to viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE to receive 15% off and one free sample of their Sleepy Dream gummies. That's viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE at checkout. Take your passion and pleasure to a whole new level with high love from Via Hemp. This episode is made possible by Badlands Pets. As you all know, Mojo, my precious baby, is the reason why I found love in the first place. He made me feel love again. So I would do anything to ensure his health and longevity. And actress Katherine Heigl and I have that in common. She's helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation. And after doing a ton of research, she feels there's one place we can look to improve any dog's health, and that's their food. So fortunately, she found that just by adding a few special superfoods to her dog's food, she saw huge transformations in their health. So she's made a 20-minute video explaining step by step how anyone can do the same thing to see incredible changes in their dog's health. I've definitely re-looked at what I'm feeding Mojo and making sure that, hey, he only has one life to live, and I want to make sure it's the best damn life. So if you want to keep your dog healthy and happy, go to badlandsfood.com/dateable and watch Catherine's video right now. Again, that's badlandsfood.com/dateable.
As you know, I recently left my corporate job and I've been in total recovery mode, all about self-care. One of my new routines is the nighttime shower before bed. There's just something about washing away the day and that reflection that's been super helpful for me. I've been using one of our partners, Osea's Mega Moisture Duo. This combo body oil and body lotion are so freaking incredible. It literally feels like I'm at a spa. I realized that the secret is seaweed and other skin level ingredients that are normally reserved for face products. And that's why I was so excited when Osea became one of our partners. And, you know, we're so grateful for partners like this because one, they keep the show going, but they're also super good for all of our listeners and for our own well-being. So if you want to have that nighttime bliss like I am doing, you can get 10% off your first order site-wide with code DATEABLE at oseamalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60. So head to oseamalibu.com and use the code DATEABLE for 10% off. Let us know which products you end up going with. Share them in social. Super excited to see what you end up choosing. So, okay, we've established that we don't want to go on fine dates. I think fine usually equates to this mentality of going through the motions, feeling like you need to just show up on the date, ask the standard questions. It's a date, right? This is what I do. But how do we start to shift out of that mode?
How do we shift out of that mode? First is let's stop looking at dates as a production, as an event. I don't love that after a date we ask, how was the date?
Yeah.
The date actually has nothing to do with what your compatibility is like with this person. How about we ask, how was your connection with this person that you just spent some time with? That's a different way of looking at dates. The date itself also, because people can't separate the date activity and the person sometimes. So we hear like, oh, it was such an amazing date. We spent 3 hours at this bar and then we spent 2 hours at this other like rock climbing and then we went to see a movie. It's like, yeah, that sounds like a great activity, but how was the person you were on that date with? Did you learn anything
about them? No.
Do you remember their name? Let's get there. So let's separate the two. The date as an event, as a production, is different than the person you're going on a date with. I think that's step number one.
Yeah. And I think the other part, you bring up such a good point. Why do we put such an emphasis on dates?
Yeah.
When you think about it, if you were to meet a new colleague or a new friend, your friends would be like, how'd it go? Tell me all the details.
Right.
You know, it just wouldn't be a thing. You would just be like, oh yeah, I met a new person. I feel like the pressure of this date is taking us out of the element of just connecting with another human being.
Yep.
And it's kind of ironic when you think about it, because when you're in a relationship, the bulk of what you're doing is not dates.
Right.
Like it is to some degree.
Right.
But we're evaluating people through a date lens when that actually isn't the relationship lens at all. So it kind of doesn't make much sense when you think about it. So how do you get out of this date lens and just get into this place of I'm connecting with another person? And I get it. I hear people saying like, well, you can have 100 friends and you're only looking for one partner. But it doesn't need to happen on date number one.
Mm-hmm.
This is just the starting point to get to know someone new. You're going to quickly realize if this is someone that you enjoy being around, if you have commonality with them of where you want to go in the future or your values, then it can become that person. But because we put so much pressure on that from day one, we go into this mode of investigator,
right?
Which is anything but fun. And that's when everything feels fine because, can you imagine being on the other side of the table of that too? Like, of course, that's not going to be like a fun date. It's going to be a fine date.
Right. And I'm so glad you brought up how this doesn't map to how you would be in a relationship anyway. Most recently, I met up with my friend Tiffany and her husband, and we hadn't seen them in a while. And her husband asked us, what do you two like to do for fun? Like, what are you doing on the weekends? And part of me wanted to be like, oh, we do these extensive like museum tours, and then we go like, we go putt-putting. But then I had to bring it back to what do we actually spend our time doing? A lot of nothing. A lot of just being. And that is the most of our relationship. That is what we have in common, is that we enjoy just being around each other. So our dates should kind of map to what it would be like in a relationship. They do not have to be these high production events because in dating, that would be really fucking tiring.
Yeah.
If you were producing everything you were doing.
I mean, some of the best times I've had with my partner, past partners, past dates, friends, I can't even remember where we physically were.
Yeah.
It was a conversation we had. It was that I was laughing so hard and enjoying myself in the moment. Those are the memories.
Yes.
And how do you break down the barriers and not have so much like rigidness around this date so you can get to that point?
Yes.
Like I remember, one date I went on with an ex of mine. I've talked about this before, but we talked about like pranks that we pulled on people for like the good first hour. And you might be thinking, well, how did you even get to know this person? Like, how did you evaluate if they'd be a good partner? I didn't know on date one, and that's okay. But I realized that I enjoyed being around this person, and that's what made date 2 happen, and date 3, and so on.
Yeah, you're going to be spending a lot of time with someone you're in a relationship with. So you better start enjoying the time that you're spending with them now. So let's reverse engineer this. When you leave a date and your friends ask you, how was the date? What's your normal response? Are you normally saying, it was fine, we did this, and then you go into your activities of what you did, right? Mm-hmm. Which bar we went to and which neighborhood we checked out. Okay.
Or surface level qualities about them. I feel like it's either what you did or like the list of
work,
like, they work in this company, they grew up here, like all the very superficial stuff.
Yes. So reverse engineering this, before you go on a date, think about how you want to tell your friends about the date. What do you want to tell them about?
Yeah.
So think about, it was a fantastic date because I learned that he likes this. He is passionate about that. And we have this in common. I never knew that we would have this in common. Some fun things that you learn about a new person. You don't talk about where you went, what you did. And if you do, you save that for last because that is not the most important part of a date.
No.
And then you end your review of the date with saying, I would love to see this person again. And, that's how you're going to describe the date.
Okay, another crazy thought. Don't even tell your friends about it until it's something. Because then we remove the pressure of even feeling like this is something we need to evaluate. I don't know about you, Yue, but I definitely got to a point that I'm like, I don't want to be in this mode that I'm evaluating every single date and having to report back.
Right.
So I just stopped doing that. And if someone was interesting or I felt the connection, then I would bring it up to them. But it's not like misleading in any way. All it's doing is saying like the expectation of a first date is that I'm just meeting someone and I don't need to update my friends on that.
Right.
It's not that interesting.
Right. Yep. So then you can set the guardrails with your friends saying, I will update you on someone when I
there's
feel
something
it
to
is
update.
time.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, we just need to get out of this evaluation mode. This is what sets us up for the fine dates. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would so much rather learn less about someone because it will come out over time. Or let's be honest, if you met on a dating app, you've already had these pre-conversations.
Yeah.
You've already seen their profile. There's no need to go in. Of course, it's going to be a fine date if you're just running through the same stats that you already know. Like, you should learn stuff that you can't learn from social media and dating apps.
Yes.
That's what I'll say.
Yeah. What makes someone tick? What drives them to do things? What motivates them are very interesting indicators of what a person is like, not their social media profile or what you see on resume, which, like you said, we can get that anywhere else. And for anybody listening right now, you're going to promise us one thing. No more fine dates from now on. You're either going to have a great date because you had a great connection with someone where you learned a lot about someone, even though there may not have been a connection, or it was horrendous. Like, you can't stand this person, don't want to spend time with them. Great. Now, at least you know. No more of this middle of the road, fine, it was okay. It was maybe I'll see them again. If I don't, it's fine. No more of that.
Honestly, I think the only measurement should be, did I feel like myself around this person, or did they bring out a good side of me? Because if that's the case, even if it wasn't fireworks, that means that it's permission to get to know them further. And if they didn't, then you know, and it's no more like the date was fine. It was just, did I feel good around this person? That's all you need to know at the beginning stages. Of course, if you like wildly off, plans for the future or just values in general, you can take that into account. But let's say all that lines up, or at least enough for a first date, as much as you're going to know. How do you just judge it on how do you feel around this person? And how do they make you feel like your authentic self or not?
Good segue into another brunch talk. We'll save that for another one, is how do we evaluate a date? How do we know if a date is something worth us pursuing even more? So we'll save that for a future brunch talk. In the meantime, keep sending us your questions. You can email us hello@dateablepodcast.com, or you can DM us like many of you have on our Instagram @dateablepodcast, or better yet, leave us a rating and review in Apple Podcasts, 5 stars, and you can write your brunch talk question as part of your review, and we'll read it out loud.
And those are the priority ones. We already said that we're going to play that game. So we're not below it. We're going to do it.
Simple 5 stars and a simple question that's been on your mind, and we'll answer it like that. Boom, like magic. You get bumped up to the front of the queue.
Well, hopefully this was helpful. Thank you for the listener that wrote into us. I think a lot of people could relate to this topic. So hopefully you found some tidbit that you could take away and you can go into dates with a different mindset.
And we'll see you next week for Brunch Talk.
Bye.
The Dateable Podcast is part of the Frolic Media Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram @DateablePodcast and visit dateablepodcast.com for access to all the episodes and our premium programs. Also, make sure to subscribe today if you haven't already on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform, so you are the first to get all the latest episodes. And most importantly, stay dateable.